The 2026 primary elections are currently underway in North Carolina, and college students can have a powerful voice in deciding which candidates advance to the general elections. I'm Tyler Day with Common Cause North Carolina, and these are 5 things for college students to know about voting in the 2026 primary elections. So what is a primary election? Sometimes more than one candidate from a political party runs for the same office. For instance, there are multiple Democrats and multiple Republicans running for the same seat in the U.S. Senate. In cases like that, the primary election is the way voters choose which Democrat and which Republican will face off in the general election. The primary election is happening right now, and the general election will happen in the fall. In North Carolina, voters registered with a particular party can vote only in their own party's primary. So voters registered as Democrats can only vote in the Democratic primary, and voters registered as Republicans can only vote in the Republican primary. But what about voters who aren't members of any party? In North Carolina, these unaffiliated voters can choose which party's primary they want to vote in. So if a voter isn't a member of a party, they can choose to vote in either the Democratic or the Republican primary, but not both. Number 2, what about registering to vote? If you're already registered to vote at your current address, you don't need to re-register before each election. You can go to ncvoterguide.org to check your registration status. If you're not registered to vote, or if you've moved to a new address since the last time you voted, here are some important things to know. If you're a college student, you can register to vote at either your home address or your campus address, but not both. Unsure of your campus voting address? Our partners at You Can Vote have a campus address guide with proper addresses for many North Carolina campuses. You can view it at youcanvote.org/campus. You can also contact your county board of elections to get your proper campus voting address. Visit ccnc.me/yourBOE. The regular voter registration deadline for North Carolina's primary election was February 6th. If you missed the February 6th deadline, you can still register and cast a ballot during the early voting period that runs through February 28th. Using what's called same-day voter registration. Note that same-day voter registration isn't available on March 3rd, primary election day itself. To use same-day registration, go to an early voting site in your county now through Saturday, February 28th when it's open. Bring a document with your name and current address, such as a North Carolina driver's license or other photo identification used by a government agency. Or you can bring a copy of your current utility bill, bank statement, paycheck, or a government document showing your name and address. If you're a college student living on campus, you can bring a document from your school with your name and on-campus housing address along with an acceptable ID for voting. See a list of acceptable IDs for voting at bringitnc.com. Check your registration status and find early voting locations at ncvoterguide.org. If you run into any issues or have questions, call the Nonpartisan Voter Protection Hotline at 888-OUR-VOTE. Number 3, what about voter ID? Once again, North Carolinians will be asked to show photo ID when they vote this year. For most voters, that will likely mean showing their North Carolina driver's license. But there are other acceptable photo IDs for voting, including a student ID approved by the State Board of Elections. To find a list of acceptable IDs for voting, including which student IDs are approved, visit bringitnc.com. Only physical IDs are accepted. You can't use digital IDs for voting in North Carolina. If a voter doesn't have an acceptable photo ID, they can get one for free from their county board of elections or from the DMV. It's important to know that all voters will be allowed to vote with or without photo ID. If a voter cannot show photo ID when voting in person, they can still vote by filling out an ID exception form and voting a provisional ballot. If absentee by mail voters are unable to include a copy of their photo ID with their ballot return envelope, they can also fill out an ID exception form with their ballot. Learn more about voter ID at bringitnc.com or by calling the Nonpartisan Voter Protection Hotline at 888-OUR-VOTE. Number 4. So what are your options for voting? In North Carolina, you have 3 options for voting. Option 1, voting in person during the early voting period. Option 2, voting absentee by mail. And Option 3, voting in person on Election Day. Choose the option that best works for you. If you vote early, you can go to any early voting site in your county between now and the end of early voting on Saturday, February 28th. You can find early voting sites at ncvoterguide.org. Remember, you can only same-day register and vote during early voting. If you want to vote absentee by mail, note that the deadline to request an absentee ballot for the primary was February 17th. So if you haven't already requested an absentee ballot by now, then voting absentee by mail is not an option for this primary election. But if you've already requested an absentee ballot, make sure to mail back your completed absentee ballot as soon as possible. You also have the option of hand delivering your absentee ballot to your County Board of Elections office. Your completed absentee ballot must be received by your County Board of Elections no later than 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday, March 3rd, primary election day. Learn more at ccnc.me/vote-by-mail. If you want to vote on primary election day itself, then you'll go to your assigned polling place on Tuesday, March 3rd. Polls will be open on March 3rd from 6:30 a.m. until 7:30 p.m. If you are in line at your polling place by 7:30 p.m. on Election Day, you will be able to vote. You can find your primary election day polling place at ncvoterguide.org. And if you have any questions or concerns about voting, remember to call or text the Nonpartisan Voter Protection Hotline at 888-OUR-VOTE. Number 5. So who's on your ballot? The primary election includes races for important offices that directly impact your life, like the U.S. Senate. And depending on where you live, there will also be other important offices on the primary ballot, like the U.S. House of Representatives, the state legislature, judges, sheriff, and more. We've made it easy to learn about who's on your ballot this primary election. Just go to ncvoterguide.org and click the link near the top of the page. Then enter your address to see info about the candidates and where they stand on important issues that matter to you. And those were the 5 things for college students in North Carolina to know about voting in the 2026 primary elections. You can go to ncvoterguide.org for more information. And now, use the power of your ballot and go vote.